beard gone. So then I went home and shaved it off completely after I was done. I felt horrible.
The passion.
Rafael Devers has the biggest contract in franchise history. He needs to be a leader for this Red Sox team.
The opinions on all your favorite teams.
Are the Patriots close to playoff contention? Yes. Are they close to Super Bowl contention? Hell no.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Happy Monday here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. We have a full show today, all 90 minutes. I don't even know when the last time we had a full show was. I am so pumped to be here until 7 o'clock. There's no Red Sox game today. I'm not traveling somewhere. We are here, and we are here until 7 o'clock, and we need all 90 minutes. There's a lot to get to. All the Celtics drama from yesterday. Red Sox winning 8 of their last 9. I never got a chance to recap the Patriots draft with you. I want to do that as well. Matt Verderame from Sports Illustrated is going to stop by at about 6:10. We are brought to you by Fecto Homes, and you can get in on the text line, 802-585-3026. I need some help. I am enlisting the help of a listener. I need some help. I need somebody to go to Facebook Live. Okay, just go to WDEV's Facebook page on your computer, on your phone, and I need you to tell me if you are hearing this show. We had some audio issues with the video stream a couple of weeks ago. I fixed them. I got a message on Friday. Hey, I wasn't hearing Friday's show, so I just need to know, is this show being heard on Facebook Live? When you are the only guy at the controls, which is what I am today, I don't have 18 engineers helping me figure this stuff out. I'm trying to do this on the fly. I need the help of you, the listener. Is the show, are you hearing it on Facebook Live? Travis says, yes, I can. There we go. I've pressed the right buttons, jiggled the right chords, and we are off and running. Again, 802-585-3026. That's where you can get in on the text line. So now that we have figured out the engineering for the day, Lego.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center. Joe says I can hear you loud and clear on Facebook Live. That's good as well. Again, there's 5 locations at Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber: Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. Let's start with the Boston Celtics. Celtics lose yesterday, 116-115 in overtime. Series is now tied at 2 games apiece. We'll get to the final play, the final sequence here momentarily. Let's start with the series as a whole. I want to know how you're feeling about it, 802-585-3026, and I will tell you on the macro level, I am 100% fine with where the Celtics are at. Okay? They're tied 2-2. I am 100% fine. These are 7-game series for a reason. Okay? You don't have to just win the first 4. You don't have to win it in 5. You don't have to. I would have loved for the Celtics to win yesterday. But at 2 games apiece through 4 games, I am 100% fine. This is where we're supposed to be. Through 4 games, we're supposed to be 2-2. Now, you would have preferred the Celtics win both at home and lose both in Philly. Fine, but we end up in the exact same spot because they split in each place. Through 4 games, we're supposed to be 2-2. We are 2-2. That is how it is designed. I am fine with it. Denver is a great regular season team. They won their 2 at home, lost 2 in Phoenix. They're tied 2-2. We are supposed to be in this spot. This is the Celtics against the 76ers. This is not the Celtics against Atlanta. When the Celtics played Atlanta, a play-in team, I had different expectations. This is a Celtics team now that's taking on a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference, that's taking on the MVP, a championship-winning coach, a coach who's been in the playoffs a bunch of times, a former MVP in James Harden. This is a different set of expectations for me than playing Atlanta is. So to be tied 2-2 after 4 games, I'm not bothered by it. I'm not disappointed by it. I'm not angry by it. I'm perfectly fine with it. This is how it was designed. Again, if the Celtics had won both at home and lost both on the road, I don't think anybody would be bothered. So I'm not going to be bothered because they have done it this way. They've gotten to where they're supposed to. Now, I believe moving forward, the Celtics are better than Philadelphia. And I think the Celtics are going to win this series. Just point blank, I think the Celtics are going to win this series. To me, it's a best of 3. The Celtics need to win 2. I believe they are better, they are capable, and they have home court advantage. You play all season to have game 5s and game 7s on your home courts. That's what you play all season for. The Celtics did a good enough job in the regular season. I believe they're going to capitalize on it. Could they lose? Of course they could lose. I just don't think they're going to. 3 games to win 2 of which are at home. Embiid, a little limited. And I don't trust James Harden to do what he's done in games 1 and 4 again. Look, James Harden has had 2 great games and has had 2 terrible games. I don't trust that he's going to put together 2 more great ones in the next 3. I just don't. He may have 1. He needs to have 2, and I don't think he's going to. I think the Celtics are going to win this series. I think they're going to win game 5. I think they're going to win game 5 going away. And they're going to be in control of this series yet again. I'd love to wrap up series in 4 and 5 games to save people's bodies, but that's not reality. That is not the way that this is designed. It is designed to be 2-2 after 4. This is why they got rid of the old 2-3-2 and gave us 2-2, 1-1, 1-1-1. They want home court to matter. They want teams to win on their home court, and they want these series to go longer. This is how it was built. That's how it's playing out. That's why I'm not angry. Yes, game 1 was a failure at the end. Game 4 yesterday was a disappointment at the end. But we end up 2-2 where we're supposed to be, and I'm okay with it, and I trust the Celtics to win 2 of the next 3, 2 of which are at home. After the game, Al Horford was talking. He said he, too, feels encouraged like I do.
Just really staying in the moment. I felt like our group did a great job in the 4th. Locking in defensively, everybody taking the challenge, trying to be better. That was quite a comeback, and we're really close. So I'm pretty encouraged with our group and with the focus, with the intent that we played with there. We knew we were going to get their best shot today.
Look, I feel encouraged also. Al Horford feels encouraged. I feel encouraged. You went to Philly and you retook home court. That's what you needed to do. That's what you accomplished. You gave up home court in the first 2 games. You took it back in the second 2, and now you've got it again. And now it's about, can you hold on to it this time? I believe the Celtics can. Game 1 was their one home snafu of the series. You go 1-1 in each city to start the series. Now, take care of business on your home floor in game 5. You do that, you win the series. I think the Celtics are going to win going away. 802-585-3026. You can get in with your thoughts. Now, let's address the final play of the game. Final score is 116-115. Celtics have the ball with 17 seconds to play or so. They elect not to call a timeout. They bring the ball up the floor. Jason Tatum eventually has it in his hands with about 6-7 seconds left to go. He drives baseline. He gets trapped. He kicks it out to Marcus Smart. Smart hits the 3 that would have won the game, but he got the shot off a fraction too late, and the Celtics don't get the shot off, and they end up losing by a point. And after the game, all the conversation is about why didn't Joe Mazzulla call a timeout? Why didn't he steady things? Why didn't he call a play? Why didn't he help him get organized, etc.? Joe Mazzulla's getting crushed for not calling a timeout. Joe Mazzulla today came out and said, I should have called a timeout. You know what? I'm not going to crush Joe Mazzulla. I am not bothered that Joe Mazzulla didn't call a timeout. We talk all the time, every day of sports talk radio. We hear this phrase: the NBA is a players' league. We hear it all the time. The NBA is a players' league. Well, in a players' league, the players need to be allowed to play basketball, and the players need to be trusted to make good decisions, and the players need to be able to figure out how to handle an end-of-game situation sometimes. I'm fine that Joe Mazzulla allowed his players in a players-driven league to make a play. This one didn't work out. It has worked out for them in the past. Look, at the end of regulation, Joe Mazzulla didn't call a timeout. They ended up with a wide-open shot for Marcus Smart. Wide open. Just missed it. If Joe Mazzulla, if that shot goes in and the Celtics win in regulation and are up 3-1, we're all coming in here today saying, man, Joe Mazzulla was a genius. He didn't call a timeout. He let him play. He empowered his players. He trusted his players. He didn't let the Sixers sub out guys. They didn't let him change personnel. Man, what a great call to not call timeout. That's what we would have said at the end of regulation. I'm not going to crush them at the end of overtime just because they were a half second too late. The problem with that play was not that Joe Mazzulla didn't call timeout. The problem with that play is that it took too long to develop. That is on the players. Okay? NBA players deal every game. End of quarter situations, end of shot clock situations, end of game situations. Jason Tatum, they had 17-ish seconds or so when they got the ball. They know what needs to happen in 17 seconds. And for Jason Tatum to not make a move until 6 seconds to play, that is on you for not recognizing the situation that you recognize all the time. And even so, he was just a half second too late. Jay Williams of ESPN Radio, the former Duke point guard, he had it right.
You can't just mosey your way down the court, jog lethargically, and then get the matchup that you want with 6 seconds left to go in the game. You get that with 12. You get that with 11, where you have time to operate to see where the double team is coming from. It was just a poor end of game management by the players on the court. Now, somebody can say, well, Joe should have called a timeout, but then almost like you lose your advantage, right? There's something about the moment being chaotic and the defense trying to figure it out on the fly instead of the defense being set.
Yes, so I agree with the back end of that point, but the front end of the point I agree with too. You got to go with 10, 11 seconds, 12 seconds. You can't go with 6. Okay, I just think this is a basketball-wide problem to me, not just a Celtics thing. I think end-of-game execution, end-of-quarter execution is just terrible in basketball. College basketball is worse. How often do we see end-of-game situation, team has the ball, and we end up dribble. We go with 5. There's a pick and roll. There's a double team. Then we end up with a bad shot from a bad shooter tucked in the corner, or we end up with a guy who shoots from 7 feet behind the line instead of getting to the basket. End of game execution is awful in basketball, whether it's being coached or whether it's players just playing like yesterday. End of game stuff is no good. Again, NBA is better than college by nature, but it's ugly across the board. I'm not bothered that Joe Mazzulla didn't call a timeout. Sometimes you just got to let the players play. We say it all the time. Don't overcoach. Don't take the momentum. Don't allow them to make a change. We tell people all the time, don't overcoach. Let the players play. Hey, the game is a players' league. Let them decide it. Joe Mazzulla let them decide it. It's worked before. It didn't work that time. After the game, Tatum on no timeout call.
We did it times last year, right? We played Brooklyn game 1. We didn't call a timeout. We got to play up on the last play. Sometimes the ball goes in, sometimes it doesn't. But, we got a good core group of guys that, know how to play under pressure in those situations. And it just doesn't always go your way.
Tatum said we got guys that know how to play in those situations. Well, Tatum's the one who's a little guilty of it. Right? Again, it's not completely egregious. He was a half second late, not 7 seconds late. But you got to go earlier. Texter says situational awareness. That's right. Situational awareness has got to be better. In that case, it was Jason Tatum. But I don't have a problem with Joe Mazzulla. not today. And the fact that he says, I should have called timeout, that's just him taking the heat away from his players. That's what a good coach does. That's what a good leader does. Takes the heat off his players, puts it on himself. That's fine. I don't have a problem with it. When you have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Al Horford, 3 or 4 guys that have been to all-star games before, I trust that they can make a right play and get a good shot. They did it at the end of regulation. I trust they could have done it in overtime, too. It's the Brady Farkas Show, brought to you by Effecto Homes, WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Roger from Middlebury says, I don't like Smart taking 2 game-ending threes. Should have had both shots set for somebody else. I mean, look, this is how it goes, right? The other guys get paid, too. The other guys get paid also, and they know exactly what you want to do as well. So you put the ball in Tatum's hand and let him make a play. He goes, he draws the double team, he kicks out. That's good basketball. Good basketball by Tatum to see it, good basketball by the Sixers to do it, and a good shot by Smart, at least at the end of regulation. And Smart's a guy who could hit a wide open 3, right? He had hit a big 3 just a little while earlier as the Celtics were getting their comeback going. So no, I don't have a problem with Marcus Smart taking a last shot. If Marcus Smart brings the ball up the court and has 6 seconds left on the game clock and fires one up from 7 feet behind the line, that I'd have a problem with. But a wide open shot in rhythm where my primary playmaker had the ball in his hand and he decided to give it up based on what the defense dictated, I'm not going to be upset with that. Marcus Smart can hit a wide open 3. The problem with Marcus Smart in the past has been the forced 3, the quick 3, I think I have the momentum and I don't 3. It was a wide open in rhythm 3. That was the best shot on the board, right? Jordan Poole got the game 1 look for Golden State, 6 feet behind the line. People were fine. Steph was fine. Like, hey, that's a wide open shot for a guy who had 6 threes who's in rhythm. Can't get mad at that. I'm not going to get mad at Smart for that shot at the end of regulation. I'm not going to get mad at him for the shot that he would have taken in overtime. By the way, the shot in overtime, he made it. It's not his fault that the ball got to him a half second too late. Marcus Smart made that shot. So in the game-ending situations, he would have been 1 for 2. So I'm not going to get mad at him for that. Texter says, where's the urgency? I assume you mean at the end of game, and that would be a fair question. That would be a fair question. Where's the urgency at the end of the game? You got to start that play earlier, as Jay Williams said. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Patriots draft. It was done last Sunday. We haven't got a chance to talk about it yet. I've got 3 distinct takeaways from the Pats draft. I'll tell you what those were next in the Brady Farkas Show, brought to you by Effecto Homes on DEV.
At the United States Postal Service, we're reinventing our network to help keep your business moving. With new shipping options to deliver better value, greater flexibility to conveniently reach your customers, more confident shipping with new informed delivery features, and new electric vehicles for a cleaner, brighter future. Fast, reliable, perfectly orchestrated. The United States Postal Service, delivering for America. Learn more at USPS.com/moving forward.
Hey, you know what I don't get? Why is that company always telling you to just do what? What is it? To just look like everybody else? Or maybe just pay way too much for your shoes? Well, Skechers, we know what we want you to do. Just slip in. That's right. Just slip in. To do hands-free Skechers slip-ins. Why? Because slip-ins are the easiest, most comfortable shoes ever. You don't have to bend down to put them on. You don't even have to touch them. Find slip-ins for the whole family at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
At Fisher Investments, our clients know we have their backs.
How do your clients know that?
Because Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, the highest standard for a financial advisor. It means we're there for our clients and always put their interests first.
So wait, you do it because you have to?
No, we do it because it's the right thing to do. Our clients trust us with their retirement savings, and we know how important that responsibility is. So we take the time to really get to know them.
Get to know them how?
We make sure we understand their unique goals, finances, health, family, and lifestyle, so we can tailor their portfolio to their specific needs. Our goal is to help them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Sounds like a big responsibility. You must make big commissions then, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We have one single transparent feed that's structured so we do better when our clients do better. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you are switching to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
This is former NFL wide receiver Keyshawn Johnson, and now we're back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV Radio and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, brought to you by Fecto Homes on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Got a good text from Jamie in Granville who wants to talk about Marcus Smart and Jason Tatum at the end of the game. I want to get to that text. I want to get to it after the 6 o'clock news update, though, because I want to spend a little more time on it than we have right now. I do want to talk about the Patriots draft, which I watched most of the draft last weekend. I watched all of Thursday, all of Friday, and half of Saturday. I'm sure a lot of you were into that as well. We have not had a chance to talk about it, right? I was out a lot of last week for my grandma's funeral, so that's why we're doing this kind of a week after the fact. But I have strong thoughts on the Patriots draft. So a couple of quick notes on the draft for the Pats. One, they had 12 picks in total. They took 5 defensive players, 5 out of 12, 3 of which were defensive backs. They took 5 offensive players, 3 of which were interior offensive linemen. And they took 2 true special teamers. They took both a kicker and a punter. So that's your 12 picks, right? 5 offense, 5 defense, a kicker, and a punter. Takeaway number 1, my biggest takeaway on the draft is this. There's a lot of pressure on Bill O'Brien now, right? Bill O'Brien's been brought back in as the offensive coordinator. There is a lot of pressure on him. You look at the first 5 rounds of the draft, the Patriots did not take one skill player on offense. Not one. They didn't draft a receiver, which was a drastic need for this team, until the 6th round. The Patriots have decided the only help that Mac Jones is going to get is Bill O'Brien. That's it. They had a chance to upgrade talent around Mac Jones. They had a chance to give him relief in the form of playmakers. They elected not to do it. They are saying, the only upgrade we are going to give is the coaching situation. That's it. There's a lot of pressure on Bill O'Brien to justify that. Because guess what? He doesn't have DeAndre Hopkins for Mac Jones. He doesn't have Jamar Chase for Mac Jones. He doesn't have DK Metcalf for Mac Jones. He doesn't have Travis Kelce for Mac Jones. Nor did they draft the second coming of any of those guys. They elected not to give Mac Jones any other skill position help before round 6. That means, Bill O'Brien, it's on you. And that should be the thing that when you looked at the Patriots draft, that should be the thing that stuck out to you above all others. Bill O'Brien is the only upgrade that Mac Jones was really going to get. Because look, Juju Smith-Schuster is pretty much equal with Jacoby Myers. Mike Gesicki is pretty much equal with Jonnu Smith. This Patriots team, from a skill position standpoint, is very, very similar to the one that played last season. The difference is the play caller, is the coach. A lot of pressure on Bill O'Brien. And you know what? Frankly, I don't think that's fair. Bill O'Brien might be really, really good. But Bill O'Brien in the past worked with Tom Brady. Bill O'Brien in the past worked with DeAndre Hopkins. Bill O'Brien, he doesn't have those guys right now. I don't think it's fair to say, hey, take this kind of crummy tasting soup and make it delicious. He can take the crummy tasting soup and make it, stomachable. But I'm not trying to get to stomachable. I want delicious. And right now, the Patriots offense doesn't look like it will get to that. Number 2 on my draft takeaways for the Patriots. I appreciate the work they did in upgrading the defense. They took defensive players rounds 1 through 3. I wouldn't have done that. I didn't want that, but I can appreciate this team decided to upgrade the defense. I've said this a bunch of times this offseason. Patriots defense was really good last year. Why? They forced a ton of turnovers and they scored a ton of points. Neither of those things are predictive or necessarily repeatable. Look at bullpens in baseball, right? We always say the bullpen is volatile. Just because you had a good bullpen one year doesn't mean you're guaranteed a good bullpen the next. Just because one reliever had an ERA of 1 year doesn't mean he won't have an ERA of 12 the next year. It happens all the time in baseball. It happens in football too. When you are a defense that relies on takeaways and relies on scoring points, it is not predictive the next year. Patriots are going to play different teams. They're going to play different quarterbacks in different locations. They're going to have different health concerns at the time. The Patriots will have different health concerns. So it was smart of the Patriots to not just rest on what they did last season. Because if they just went in and saying, hey, our defense will do the exact same thing it did a year ago, it wouldn't. So they go out, they get a lockdown corner in Christian Gonzalez round 1. A good pass rusher in Keon White in round 2, and they go get this linebacker out of Sacramento State, or the safety out of Sacramento State in round 3. Again, I would have taken offensive players in at least some of those spots, but they did recognize that just because we were good last year on defense doesn't mean we're necessarily going to be good this year. And 3, I think the Patriots made a clear commitment to special teams. And that was pretty evidenced in their draft. Patriots special teams were bad last year, right? They were bad at punter. They were bad at kick coverage. They were bad on returns. The only thing they were really good at was Nick Folk actually kicking, but that's it. They made a clear commitment to special teams. They drafted a punter. They drafted a kicker. I wouldn't have done that, but they did it. And they drafted a lot of speedy late round guys that are clear special teams players. You go grab 2 DBs at the end of the draft. Those are special teams guys. You go draft 2 receivers in round 6. Those are special teams guys, at least to start. So, recapping the draft, Christian Gonzalez, the DB out of Oregon in round 1. Keon White, the edge rusher from Georgia Tech in round 2. Marte Mapu, the safety out of Sacramento State in 3. They go draft a guard from Troy in round 4. They get a kicker from Maryland in 4 and an offensive lineman from Eastern Michigan in 4. They take another offensive lineman in round 5. They get the 2 wideouts in round 6, one from LSU and one from Liberty. They get the punter from Michigan State in 6 also, and they get the DB. They get a DB from Michigan State in 6 and then a DB from Florida State in 7. 12 players drafted in total, 5 receivers, or 5 offensive players, 5 defensive players, 2 special teams players. Those are the 3 takeaways. Bill O'Brien has a lot on his plate because the responsibility is on him to make this thing taste good. Appreciate the upgrades they did on defense, not just resting on their laurels. And 3, clear commitment to special teams. I think Bill Belichick is clearly saying, I think we're good enough on offense skill-wise. I disagree. But he's telling you defense and special teams will help us get back. And Bill O'Brien will take care of the offense. I disagree with him. He knows he's forgotten more football this hour than I'll ever know in my life. I just don't see it that way. I think the Patriots are better than they were a year ago. But everybody else is better too. And it's going to be really, really hard for the Patriots to compete in this AFC. They did some nice things in the draft. They got some good players. I don't think it's going to be enough. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV. We're brought to you by Fecto Homes. WDEVradio.com is where you can find us streaming as well as on Facebook Live. I want to answer Jamie and Granville's question after the CBS News update. And then a former Patriots quarterback tells us why he's not in the NFL anymore. We'll get that answer next on DEV.
This is WDEV, Vermont's news station, owned and operated by the radio group. From the top of Sugarbush, 96.1 FM, WDEV Warren and Waitsfield, 96.5 W243 Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, along with our founding station, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury Montpelier, streaming at WDEVradio.com. 91 years of serving Vermont, the friendly pioneer, WDEV.
The This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York. We're learning more about the man who killed 8 people on a shooting rampage in Allen, Texas over the weekend. CBS's Omar Villafranca is there.
2 sources tell CBS News that the shooter had a patch on his clothing that said RWDS, and they believe that stands for Right Wing Death Squad, associated with extremist and right-wing neo-Nazi groups. But investigators also say that they're trying to see if he may have been associated with the cartel or prison gangs.
His motive is still a mystery, but investigators now confirm that he had formal weapons training and had been discharged from the U.S. Army for mental health issues. Down in Brownsville, Texas, police are still working to identify victims of a deadly crash that killed another 8 people, some of them migrants. Police Chief Felix Sauceda.
It has been a very tiresome process, but one that we are deeply committed to doing and accomplishing. We are working with the Venezuelan government right now, and we have also reached out to other embassies.
Police haven't said whether the driver hit them on purpose. With Title 42 set to expire on Thursday, Texas Governor Greg Abbott says he's now deploying a new National Guard unit to help Border Patrol deal with an expected influx.
They will be deployed to hot spots along the border to intercept, to repel, and to turn back migrants who are trying to enter Texas illegally.
President Biden wants to hold airlines accountable for scrapping or delaying flights. CBS's Stephen Portnoy is at the White House.
American air travelers deserve better, and that's what we're going to do. That's what we're doing here today.
He says his administration will put a rule in place later this year, aiming to force the airlines to compensate flyers for meals, hotel stays, and ground transportation.
Cash, miles, and/or travel vouchers whenever they're the ones to blame for the cancellation or delay.
The Justice Department says it wants Stuart Rhodes to serve 25 years in prison for seditious conspiracy. The Oath Keepers leader was convicted last week for what prosecutors described as a violent plot on January 6 to keep President Biden out of the White House. Rhodes has spent the last year behind bars in Virginia. His lawyers want him to get credit for time served. Now, this next story may make you cringe.
Peter Brennan was fast asleep inside his room at the Hilton downtown Nashville hotel when he awoke to a nightmare.
A gentleman, an employee of the Hilton, assaulting me.
Sucking on his toes, he says. Police say it was the hotel manager, 52-year-old David Neal, who allegedly made a key card to gain access to the hotel room and entered around 5 a.m.
CBS's Matt Piper says the guy freaked out, and now that manager is facing charges. This is CBS News.
Find your next great hire with Indeed. Their hiring platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates all in the same place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
The world is a constantly changing place, and being informed has never been more important. This is Steve Kathan. WDEV, Vermont's news station, and CBS provide you with up-to-the-minute news and information. Whether it's top and bottom of the hour news, breaking news, or special events, if Vermonters need to know, you can trust that WDEV and CBS will inform you. WDEV, keeping an eye on Vermont, while CBS keeps an eye on the world.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. Opening a My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal record and interactive tools tailored for you. You can see if you are eligible to receive benefits, view spousal benefit estimates, and compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates when you want to start receiving benefits. Already receiving benefits? Use your account to change your address, set up or change direct deposit, get a proof of income letter, and more. In most states, you can also request a replacement Social Security card. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Hi, folks. This is Peter Burke. Join Joel Nashman and me in the garden Saturdays at 12:30. Don't try to do it alone in your garden. Call in with questions, for advice, or just to share your successes in the garden.
Brought to you in part by The Willie's Store, family owned since 1900 in Greensboro. Holly Construction, Gregory Drive, South Burlington. One call does it all. And your locally owned Montpelier Agway, East Montpelier Road.
your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Matt Verderame from Sports Illustrated is going to be with us here in just a couple of minutes, talk more about the Patriots. I want to answer, though, a text from Jamie in Granville, who came in on the text line, 802-585-3026, and said, Brady, I think Joe Mazzulla is right about not taking a timeout at the end of overtime. Jason Tatum had so much time to make something happen, didn't pass the ball, and then waited with barely any time left to give it to Smart, and you should blame it all on Tatum. He was very sloppy. There were 3 other people on the floor that could have shot it. They also didn't need a 3. I think a lot of that's fair. I'm not upset that Tatum had the ball in his hands. I'm not upset that Tatum tried to make a play with the ball in his hands. Look, I think Jason Tatum did a fine thing. He just did it a half second too late, right? Jason Tatum had the ball. He drove. He wasn't looking solely for some settled 3. He drove. He tried to go baseline. He got doubled. Good play by Philly. He kicked it out. He found a wide open shooter that was created via the scrambling Philly was doing. It was a very good basketball play. It was just done too late. I would have been interested in Jaylen Brown having the ball at the end. I think Jaylen Brown is the guy in clutch time that I want. That said, Jason Tatum made the right play. This wasn't a situation where Tatum settled for some 36-footer, where Tatum drove it in the lane and didn't go strong enough, where Tatum bounced it off his foot. It wasn't that. I would rather have the ball in Jaylen Brown's hands at the very end, but Tatum did the right thing. I cannot be upset with him. And I'm not upset with Joe Mazzulla. I am just upset that Tatum started the play with 6 seconds left instead of 10 or 11. That's it. And that's a big thing to be mad about. That's a big miss on Tatum's part. But the basketball play that was made was perfectly fine. Before we get to Matt Verderame, I want to tell you what Cam Newton had to say. And this is a sensitive topic, and I'll just read you Cam's quotes here. These came via Josina Anderson, who used to work at ESPN and now is at her own outlet. I don't know exactly where she is now, but very reputable NFL reporter. Cam Newton believes that his dreadlocks and fashion have, quote, hindered his chances of being in the league. Cam says, and I quote, "It's been hindered, and I'm not changing." He says, people have hinted towards to say, like, hey, Cam, we want you to go back to the 2015 clean cut Cam. But that was a different me. Right now, where I'm at, it's about embracing who I am. Says, Cam, this is like what Cam's being told from executives. He says, Cam, you're scaring people the way you look. And I would say, like, I'm not going to name names, but there's other quarterbacks that's in the league that don't look like me, but they've got long hair. They don't scare them, do they? So Cam Newton is saying that because he's black and has long hair and he has the fashion sense, that he's looked at one way by the league, whereas white players who have long hair are looked at differently than he is. And that is what he's saying. He doesn't overtly use the words black and white, but he says, I'm not going to name names, but there's other quarterbacks that's in the league that don't look like me. They got long hair. They don't scare them, do they? So Cam is saying that his look and his fashion sense and being black are hindering him from being in the NFL. Again, this is a sensitive topic. I don't pretend to enjoy talking about racial issues. I don't know what it's like to go through racial issues. But I want to speak to Cam here because he is a former Patriots quarterback, and he's a guy we spent a lot of time talking about. There are 2 things at play here as far as I'm concerned. And I want you to listen to point 1 that I make before I go on to point 2. 1, regardless of skin color, NFL executives will deal with just about anything if you can play. Right? We know that. Cam's got to realize that. Cam says, because I'm black and I look this way, I can't be in the league, according to some people. Cam could be anything he wanted to if Cam could still play like 2015 Cam. I love Cam, and I loved him in New England. You all know that. I spent a year and a half defending him. I spent a year and a half advocating for him. I love Cam, and I loved him here. If he was the 2015 player, he could be dressed, look any way that he wants to. NFL executives will tolerate anything if you can help them win, right? Trevor Lawrence has long hair, California sunshine. They think they can help him win. Look how you want, kid. Lamar Jackson wears his hair a certain way, thinks they can help him win. They're $200 million guaranteed. Kyler Murray's got cornrows, also black, $200 million. Well, I don't know if it's $200 million, but a hefty long-term extension in Arizona, right? Tim Tebow, ultra religious. If he was winning, nobody would care. Russell Wilson, ultra religious. Probably bothers some guys. Winner, nobody cares. Right? So the NFL will look at, Deshaun, quarterbacks got tattoos, white, black, the other. Quarterbacks have tattoos. You can look, you can wear your hair, you can look, you can have tattoos, you can have dreadlocks, you can have long flowing blonde hair. If the league thinks you can play, the league will let you look like whatever you want. And that is just reality. And also, by the way, unfortunately, the league will look past a lot of transgressions, serious transgressions, if they think you can play. Joe Mixon hit a female student at the University of Oklahoma, was still a first-round pick. Deshaun Watson, accused of sexual assault by more than 20 women, $200 million guaranteed deal. The league will look past a whole lot of things if they think you can help. If Cam were 2015 Cam, he could be whatever he wanted to be. So I don't believe that Cam's look is hindering him. If Cam could play like he used to play, Cam could look however he wants. So I don't think race has anything to do with it. What I will say is this. I think Cam's big personality is what's hindering him now. Okay? And this is where I would say that his hair and his fashion sense, they probably do hinder him. And it's not a racial thing. It's a personality thing. Cam Newton is a big personality. Cam Newton is a star. You may not think he's a star player, but Cam Newton is a star. And he has a star quality. People are drawn to him. He has a magnetism, and his look is a part of that. And you know what a team doesn't need? A team doesn't want or need their backup quarterback stealing the show. Backup quarterbacks are supposed to not really be seen or heard. That's the way NFL teams want them, for better or worse. And Cam is incapable of that. Cam is a star. Why is Cam not in Foxborough as the backup anymore? Because the Patriots knew that Mac Jones didn't need Cam's personality behind him. The minute Mac struggled, there's Cam. Let's ask about Cam. Cam's coming into the stadium. Cam's looking all loud. We can't forget about Cam. The Patriots didn't want that. And other teams don't want that either. Why is I've used this example before, and it's true. It has nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with personality. Why couldn't Tim Tebow cut it in the league? Tim Tebow was perfectly capable of being somebody's third-string quarterback, right? You don't think he was a starter? Fine. He was perfectly capable of being a third-string quarterback. Why wasn't he one? Because teams didn't want to deal with his personality and the fan and media following that he would have gotten, right? They don't want to spend that much attention on their third-string quarterback. That's why he was not in the league anymore. I dealt with this in the NBA, right? Jimmer Fredette is my guy. Player of the year at BYU. Led the nation in scoring. Could shoot from anywhere. I played against him in high school. I love Jimmer. Jimmer couldn't stay in the league. Why? Because for the 12th guy on the bench, teams didn't want to hear about it anymore. Right? I was working in radio in New York when Jimmer got a 10-day contract for the Knicks. He played 3 minutes, scored 8 points, and Kurt Rambis, the interim coach of the Knicks, got asked about Jimmer for like the entire press conference, and he's like, why am I talking about this dude as at the end of my bench so much? When you have a backup player that has a big following, a big fan base, a cult-like following, and a big personality, teams don't want to deal with you. And it's not racial, and this is where Cam, I believe, is wrong here. Cam's personality is hindering him, and that's unfortunate. That is unfortunate that a good guy, I believe, at his core, a good guy who could help a young quarterback. It's unfortunate that he can't find a spot because teams are afraid of the specter of Cam, but it's not a racial thing. It's just Cam's personality. Saw it with Tebow, saw it with Jimmer. There's too much hoopla for a guy who's not going to play that much. So I don't believe that Cam is right, that his look is hindering him in terms of his race. Again, if Cam could play, he could be whatever race, he could have whatever look he wanted. And the NFL would be just fine with it. But since Cam can't play as much, teams are nervous and leery about bringing in his personality. That is true. And if his fashion sense and his hair are part of that, then okay, he's got a point. But I don't believe it's racial. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. I want to go to our interview with Matt Verderame today. Matt Verderame used to be the NFL director at Fansided.com. He is now a writer over at Sports Illustrated. So we congratulate him on a new promotion. I did this interview earlier. I apologize to you in advance that I actually taped this interview on my phone, and I had the headset set in wrong. So you'll be able to understand everything I'm saying. You will just be able to tell that it was shot on a cell phone. So the interview is fine. You will just notice a difference in audio quality. So Matt Verderame from Sports Illustrated, we just started by congratulating him on his new position and asking how he is.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Happy to be here. And I am looking forward to the schedule release and then about 2 months of being off. So
you certainly deserve that. Schedule comes out later this week. Let me just get right to the Patriots draft. I've been chomping at the bit to talk about this for the last week. Patriots had a lot of needs. We know that by virtue of finishing under 500. They had a lot of needs on the offensive side of the ball, and they decided to draft mostly defense, especially early on in days 1 and 2. What'd you make of the Pats draft?
So I graded every draft, every AFC draft, actually. My colleague, Gilberto Mazzano, graded the NFC side of things. And I gave the Pats a B-, which is right in the middle. I love Christian Gonzalez. He was one of my favorite picks of the entire draft. I think they nailed that. In fact, I was shocked he was still available at 17 after they traded back with Pittsburgh. And look, the rest of the draft, I wasn't surprised in the sense, look, Belichick loves to move around the board. And the Pats had a ton of picks.
Oh, there we go. Someone pressed the wrong button on that interview with Matt Verderame. So luckily, because it was pre-taped, I can bring you back to the point here essentially, but don't know what happened there. Let's see if we can pick it back up here. Matt Verderame was talking about how the Pats had a ton of picks. Let's see if this is the right spot. Defense, especially that's not promotion, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Okay, and let's try this one. Here we go.
Look, the rest of the draft, I wasn't surprised in the sense, look, Belichick loves to move around the board, and the Pats had a ton of picks, which is also a staple of theirs most years. And if you look at their draft picks, where they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of their picks were not their original pick. So they stayed true to form. Keon White was another guy I thought they got good value with. You know, he's a little bit older than some of the other rookies, but at pick number 46, I like that pick. So I thought they did really good early. And then Mapu out of Sacramento State, I think could be one of the sleepers. So I really liked what they did early. So you're probably like, well, why are they going to be minus? I thought later in the draft, like I'm just one of these guys. I cannot get behind you taking a kicker and a punter. I'm sorry. You have a million needs. can't be taking a kicker and a punter, and the kicker's in the 4th round. They took a lot of interior offensive linemen. I know there's a need. At the same point, it felt like it was redundant. After that 3rd guy, like how many of these guys can you take? I would have liked to see them take a receiver a little higher. So I did knock their grade for that. But I thought their first 3 picks were really, really good. I think all 3 guys could be impact players right away.
All we talk about for this team is lack of weaponry. That's all we ever talk about, lack of weaponry. Yes. They didn't get any weapons.
No, they didn't.
You're still a fan.
I'm a fan of the first 3 picks in the sense I think they got great value with all of them. I think Gonzalez is going to be a plus player right away. I think White's a guy who can jump into the rotation with Uche and Judon right away and give them a little bit of a 3-headed monster there. And Mapu, who I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. I struggle with that the entire draft process. But he's got a lot of people really liked. And I remember talking to a few people in the league about him, and they thought he might be a 2nd-round pick. So I think New England got good value. But that's why, like I said, I also gave them a B- for a reason. I thought, kicker and punter, it's like you could take a receiver with one of these picks. You could take another player to help Mac Jones. And look, you got to be good on special teams. I'm not saying you don't, but that felt like a luxury in the 4th round taking a kicker. Like that's like something I feel like you would do if like every other need on your team is completely satisfied. At that point, you're like, look, this guy's going to help us. Okay, fine. By the way, I killed the Niners for the same thing on a bunch of radio spots. Like the Niners are out here taking all these guys. Like, look, now the Niners roster is better than the Pats roster, but the Niners are taking all these guys. Like to me, I don't know. Do you need to take that guy? So I thought New England walked away from the draft better defensively, more depth, but they, as you point out, Brady, they had the same problem. I don't think they can score. I don't think they can score points, and I just don't know how that is remedied going into the training camp.
How much pressure now is on Bill O'Brien? Because it seems like rather than take weapons to help Mac Jones, all the eggs are being put in his basket of like, okay, he's going to fix Mac Jones.
A lot. And look, let's just call this what it is. Okay, let's be honest. Belichick screwed up last year with the way that they tried to piecemeal that coaching staff. Okay, nobody who's reasonable would argue against that. That was insane. I think most people felt it was nuts to have Matt Patricia and he's like sprinkling in Joe Judge and you're trying to piece together an offense with guys. They're not offensive guys. And it didn't work. It was a disaster. Bill O'Brien is an offensive guy. Wasn't a great head coach. Wasn't a terrible head coach. Wasn't a great head coach. But he's a very good offensive mind. I think there is a lot of pressure, and I think he will be better. But again, look, it comes down to players in this league. Okay? When you're trotting out, when you're in 11 personnel, which is what every team in the league is in now more than any other personnel grouping, which for those who don't know is 3 receivers, a back, and a tight end. Ramondre Stevenson, excellent. Fine. Good there. Tight end, you got Gesicki, who, by the way, I really like. I think that was a smart pickup. I like him. Have Hunter Henry. Okay, you're good there. I got no problem with that. I think you're fine at running back and tight end. Devontae Parker, Kendrick Bourne, and Juju Smith-Schuster, that's not cutting it. Like, I'm sorry. That might cut it if you have Joe Burrow or Mahomes or Josh Allen. That's not helping Mac Jones enough. There's not a guy in that group. I'm saying that guy is keeping a defensive coordinator awake at night. There's nobody in that group that scares you. Look, we'll see what Thornton does his second year. Obviously, last year scuttled with injury, but that's my concern is teams are just going to take the middle of the field away from New England and say, beat us anywhere else. Throw the ball outside, throw the ball down the field. I think it becomes really hard to create space for New England based on that depth chart.
Matt Verderame, formerly of Fansided.com, is going to get used to, it takes some getting used to saying that, but now with Sports Illustrated here with us on the Brady Farkas Show. Defensive back, I thought was a need for this team. Yep. Other people told me they didn't think so, but then they addressed it with Gonzalez in the first round. How do you feel about them in the secondary, right? They've got all the Joneses, Jonathan Jones, Jack Jones, Marcus Jones. Then they've got Gonzalez, they've got Phillips, they've got Duggars, they've got Jalen Mills. So there's a lot of secondary pieces there, a lot of interchangeable parts, and a lot of freedom probably afforded to Belichick because of that. How do you feel about him in the secondary?
I like him in the secondary. I agree with you, though. I thought it was a need going in. So Christian Gonzalez to me is a really nice pick. In fact, I think in my mock draft, I either had him taking a tackle or I had him taking the corner. I can't remember, but I definitely had corner was one of their needs. So I liked that they took Christian Gonzalez. Like I said, I thought he was one of the best picks of the first round. In fact, I think after the first round, we did a piece over at SI where I ranked out like my 5 favorite picks. He was one of them. So I like him. Duggar's an excellent young player. I like Jonathan Jones a lot, like Jack Jones and all the other Joneses on that team. Marcus Jones, as you point out, it gets confusing after a while. But I think Jonathan Jones specifically with Gonzalez and Duggar, that's a really nice nucleus for the secondary. I know McCourty now gone. It proves he can't play forever. Felt like he was going to. I think their secondary is going to be fine. And Belichick's one of the best in terms of scheming up a secondary. He's excellent at it. There's a reason when guys leave New England secondary, they're not as good anywhere else. Like there's a reason for that. I think they'll be fine there. I think defensively they're going to be very good. I really do. I love their front. I think Barmore could have a true breakout year where he's a Pro Bowl type player. Their linebackers, like I said earlier, you've got Uche, you've got Judon, you add in a Keon White. I think look, they're gonna be fine defensively. I think they're gonna be a very good defensive team, top 10. My concern with them is just like we've talked about. You're in a division where you got to score. Like I don't care how good defensively you are against some of these teams in the NFL in 2023. You have to score points. You may not have to score 30. You got to get 24, 25 points. You have to. I don't know that New England, if they get into these games with the Bills and the Jets and the Dolphins, if Tua's healthy, I don't know that New England's going to score enough points to give themselves an opportunity to win 10, 11 games, be a playoff team fighting the division.
What do you hear about the relationship between Belichick and Mac Jones? Because it seems like it's fractured, and I don't know that it's not fractured beyond repair from at least one of their sides, if not both. On Mac's side, you've got, basically a year of his career was wasted last year by Belichick's experiment, and clearly resentful of that. He's going behind Belichick's back to Alabama to try to circumvent it. Then he doesn't get any help in the early round of the draft here, either on the line or at receiver. Can't imagine he loves that. And from Belichick's perspective, this kid circumvented the Patriot way and went behind my back and undermined me. Can this be salvaged?
Yes, I think it can be salvaged, but I think the word fracture is fair. I think it's tense. I think they need to have a successful year this year, or you start let's just play this out. If they go 7-10 this year and they finish last in the AFC East, I know there are some people in New England, because I've heard them, who literally want Belichick gone and they want to move on. They want to go to the next guy. I think Belichick's there until he doesn't want to be there. I mean, at least for the next couple of years. I just don't think all of a sudden Belichick's going to just walk out that door. I think he's so close to the record for all-time wins, all the rest of it. I think then you'd start looking at would Mac Jones be back as a starter for a fourth season? The other question you have, because it became a question in the middle of last season, if they start slowly, like how long is it before Bailey Zappi starts warming up on the sideline? I mean, I don't want to say that's a thing, but it's not a thing. Like at some point, I do think you'll look at that and go, okay, is that an option here? Because it was an option last year. I mean, on a nationally televised game. And I know after the game, Belichick said, well, that was kind of the plan. I'll never believe that was part of the plan. I don't think it's irreparable, the relationship. I do think they need to see results as a combination this year. They need to win some more games. Jones has to play better. I think he can. And I think Juju's a nice pickup, but he really replaces Jacoby Myers. So it's not like they got better. They kind of just swapped names. I don't think Mac Jones has gotten the best support in the world in New England, but I also have to be honest. I also think Mac Jones is a guy. I think Mac Jones he's an average quarterback. He'll play in the league for a long time, but he's Andy Dalton. Like I don't think, and that it's hard to be current day Andy Dalton in that conference and win a ton of games. Everything around you's got to be perfect. It's a hard thing to do.
That was Matt Verderame, the sports writer over at Sports Illustrated and NFL Insider. Texter says, does Matt live in Shelburne? No, Matt does not live in Vermont. Matt went to college with me in Central New York at Oswego and now lives somewhere else. I'm not going to go give out those details, but no, he does not live in Shelburne and he does not live in Vermont, but he is excellent. And we love having him on here again, formerly of fansided.com, now of Sports Illustrated. Congratulations to him on his career success. And I think Matt's right about a lot of what he said. We'll start at the end right there because he said it most recently. Mac Jones is just a guy. He's just a guy. And everybody gets mad at me because I hear people say, Brady, you're too hard on Mac. And Mac's good. He was a first-round pick. Mac is good. But you know what? In the NFL today, you need great. Okay? You know what? The $7 steak that I bought at the grocery store, I made it good. You know what's better? The $35 steak. You know what's better than that? The $55 steak. Okay? Good is not cutting it in the AFC. It's just not. Everybody gets mad at me. Everybody gets mad at me for being too hard on Mac. Oh, Brady, give Mac a chance. I'll give Mac a chance. Mac is going to play in the league for a long time, and Mac's going to win games, and Mac might have a year where he wins 12 games. But everything's got to be perfect, and things are not perfect around him. That's just the truth. And Matt's painting that picture too. Okay, Matt's painting that picture also. And he's painting it correctly as well. Also, who he liked, he loves to pick a Christian Gonzalez. I like that too. Patriots needed a wideout. Patriots needed a tackle. They took a DB in the first round. I said that was the third position they needed. I was fine if they took a player at any of those positions. They did. And by accounts, they got a guy who was either the first or second best DB on the board. Witherspoon, who went to Seattle at 5 out of Illinois, was kind of universally seen as the best. Gonzalez was second. So you got a top player at a premium position and a position of need. I was all for that. I'm glad to hear that Matt loved the Christian Gonzalez pick so much because I liked it as well. Patriots defense got better. There is no denying that out of the draft. But as Matt says, you got to score points, right? You got to score points. Everybody else, everybody else in the AFC is playing with Dom Perrier or Dom Perignon, and you're playing with Natty Light. Okay? Everybody else in the AFC party is drinking top shelf, and you're bringing Mountain Brew, which for those of you on the New York side of the lake know is the beer they sell at Stewart's for like $6 for a 12-pack. Like it's that bad. I don't know if they make it anymore. It was one of those disgusting beer I've ever had in my life. Okay, everybody else is playing top shelf liquor. You're playing with Mountain Brew on offense. The defense is better, but you got to score points. And look, frankly, I think the Patriots are in this spot. I'm not trying to repeat the same thing I said last year. The Patriots are, again, between a 7-win team and a 9-win team. That's it. They are between 7 and 9 wins. Now, what is going to be the difference between 7 and 9? It's going to be injuries. Your injuries and other teams' injuries. Last year, the Patriots won 8 games. They benefited, right? The Colts benched Matt Ryan, played Sam Ehlinger. That ended up being a win. You played Jacoby Brissett instead of Deshaun Watson. That ended up being a win. See what happens this year for the Patriots. Do you catch somebody who loses their starting quarterback? It's possible. So 7, if they play everybody healthy, 7 wins. If they get some benefits, 9 wins. Then they can contend for a playoff spot, but they're not contending for a Super Bowl. Texter wants to know, okay, you had somebody on an old radio show that lived in Shelburne. Yes, that was our guy, Ken Kreitz. He works over at RotoWire. So if you've been listening to me for a while, even at my other station, Ken Kreitz of RotoWire is a Vermonter. And he knows a lot about fantasy football, but he is not the NFL insider that Matt Verderame is. Right now, it's 6:35. Jazz with George Thomas comes up about 25 minutes from now. When we come back, I want to do something that I haven't done in like 15 years. But I don't really know how a lot of you that do this every day, I don't really know how you do it. I'm going to tell you what that is. You're going to be surprised. Next on DEV.
New England Municipal Resource Center, NEMRIC, a company that recognizes the value of Vermont and all things local, municipalities, businesses, and WDEV.
When you want your paving project done right, go with Green Mountain Paving in East Barry. This father-son duo has over 80 years of combined experience specializing in driveways, parking lots, and roads. Improve the curb appeal of your home or business with the clean look of asphalt from Green Mountain Paving. The summer schedule is filling up quickly. Contact Green Mountain Paving today. Green Mountain Paving, celebrating 50 years, online at greenmountainpavingvt.com.
Ian and Pat King here, owners of Lamoille Valley Chevy. We both want to start by personally thanking our customers and congratulating our team for reaching and exceeding our goal in the car, truck, and SUV challenge. Tell them, bro. That's right, folks. With a huge start to the year here at Lamoille Valley Chevy, the team and I are not satisfied, and we're ready to earn your business and grow ours. An important part of my job is to keep you informed, and I want to share with you that Chevy lease deals have improved dramatically since the beginning of the year. In fact, now is a great time for you to lease or let at Lamoille Valley Chevy. Listen to this. With $3,900 cash or trade down plus fees, returning leasees can get a low mileage 2-year lease on a new 2023 Chevy 1500 custom crew cab 4x4 for just $399 a month. And folks, our inventory of new Chevys and pre-owned vehicles is huge. Right now, we have several clean late model pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs on the lot, and we're making deals to sell them. So come lease for less at Lamoille Valley Chevy, just past Stowe and Morrisville in the beautiful town of Hyde Park, Vermont, and spread the word for us. At Lamoille Valley Chevy, we know price matters.
The future depends on teachers. Every day, teachers are shaping our tomorrows, starting their students on journeys that will change the course of history. Right now, in a classroom somewhere in the United States, there's a teacher inspiring a future scientist who will make preventing pandemics their life's work, sharpening the mind of an aspiring environmentalist who will help combat climate change, and generating possibilities for a student who will be the first in their family to graduate college. It all starts with teachers who meet challenges with creativity, who reinvent education for the future, who work towards a school system that lifts up every child, regardless of race, income, or zip code, and to enable the full potential of our students, our communities, and our country. Explore a career that leaves a legacy you can be proud of. Shape the future. Teach. Learn more and receive free support at teach.org.
Hi, I'm Matt with Matt Clark's Northern Basement Systems. If you have a wet basement, moldy crawl space, or settling foundation and need an effective solution, we do all things basementing. Basement waterproofing, basement insulation, basement structural repair, and nasty crawl spaces too. Matt Clark's Northern Basement Systems has you covered. We offer free estimates, so for all things basementy, call 855-DRY-TIME or visit northernbasements.com.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. No Red Sox game tonight, so we're on for a full 90 minutes until 7 o'clock. Then Jazz with George Thomas. I need a little help from you people on the text line, 802-585-3026. I want to do something I haven't done in 15 years. I want to read a book all the way through, cover to cover, and I want to do so in somewhat timely fashion. It might not be 15 years, but I have not read a book for pleasure in a very long time, right? And I don't know how you people that read for pleasure all the time do it, because I need some tips. Because here's what here is I don't like to read that much, right? I read a lot of stuff about sports, right? I'm reading The Athletic. I'm reading ESPN. I'm reading Twitter. I'm reading stuff about sports. That's what interests me. Reading some novel has never been of interest to me, right? High school, I would go through. I'd read a chapter. Then I do the Spark Notes, which for those of you between the age of 27 and 35, you probably remember is the site that gave you the Cliff's Notes of everything. That's what I was doing in high school. I wasn't that interested, right? If it was about someone's batting average, I wanted to read it. If it was about, Victorian literature, I had no interest. So Jane Eyre and all these other classics I was supposed to have read, could not have given a rip about. I want to read a book for pleasure. and I want to read a book all the way through cover to cover. I don't know how you people find time, because I work all day here. I go home. I work more at home. I watch sports, which is fun, but it's a job to me. I'm checking social media. By the time I'm done watching sports, it's midnight, and I'm like, okay, now it's time for bed. Where do people find time to read for fun? I would like to know. Because now I'm going to have to bake in time to my day to figure out how to read. And here's my fear. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to pick up a book, and I'm going to read like 50 pages right off the bat. And then I'm going to take 3 days off because I'm going to get busy. And then I'm going to read 10 more pages. And then I'm going to read 12 pages. And then I'm going to read a chapter. And then all of a sudden, we're going to be a month in. I'm going to be like 85 pages in. And I'm going to be like, there's still a zillion pages left in this thing. Now I'm giving up. That's exactly what I fear is going to happen because I know myself. I need to find a way to stay motivated to read the book. And I know what book I want to read. I want to read The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. I know, so that's way too smart sounding for me. There were 2 books in high school that I read most of and enjoyed. One was The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. The other was Count of Monte Cristo by, I believe, Alexandre Dumas. I think Alexandre Dumas. I think I'm right on that. Dumas. Sounds right. French. I know that. But I read most of those books and enjoyed them. 15 years later, I'd like to read The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand again. I just went and looked. 763 pages. How am I going to get through this thing? It's like the Declaration of Independence to me. It'll take me like 6 years to read that. I don't know how you people do it. Someone give me some tips or something, because, and it's not like I have like another activity that I waste time with that I could replace. Like if I said to you, hey, I play video games an hour every night, the easy answer would be, well, replace video game time with reading time. I don't do that. I work here until 7. I go home. I do some more work to get ready for the next day. I watch sports, which is a job to me. I'm taking notes on that, listening to post-game press conferences. Then I watch the Mariners. Then I go to bed. Who has time to read? But apparently you people do it all the time. I'm talking to Jess the other day, and she's like, oh, yeah, I'm on my 3rd book here. I'm like, when are you finding time to read like this? Because I haven't had time to read for pleasure even if I wanted to in years. It wasn't 15 years. I read the Colin Cowherd book, his first book. But here's the thing. Colin Cowherd's book was like 220 pages, big type. I read like 100, put it away, went back, forgot where I was, went back and like read the first 100 over again because I wasn't, and then I didn't have a bookmark. I didn't know where I was, and I gave up. I think I read the whole thing eventually, but like it took me multiple shots. If I was a guy who traveled on business and had nothing but plane rides in my life, then I would be able to read a book easily. I haven't been on a plane in 4 years or something. So I just don't know. Okay. Oh, people are giving me book titles. Dane in Rochester wants me to read Waiting for Ted Williams by Howard Frank Mosier. Oh, we're getting sports books here. Maybe I would like that better than The Fountainhead. Texter says, Loose Balls by Terry Pluto is a great book about the 1970s heyday of the ABA. Okay, another sports title. Very, very interesting there. Texter says, wasn't Doug Flutie a flashy second-string quarterback? I guess we're talking back to the Cam Newton story. Then he says, read Boys in the Boat. I don't know what that's about. I want to read The Fountainhead. It's a very good piece of literature. It's very famous and all, but 763 pages. I don't know how I'm going to do it. 700, I'm 33 now. I'll be 34 in October. Oh, God, that feels weird to say. I'll be 34 in October. I won't finish 763 pages until I'm 36, unless I come up with a good system here. Was Doug Flutie a flashy second-string quarterback? I think Flutie thinks that, and I think Flutie thinks he was hindered by, the perception of him being that, he was not, you know what? I mean, Flutie has told me in the past that he thinks he was just labeled as a good backup quarterback. But I'm sure but Flutie didn't have necessarily the personality. He had a resume. I don't really need a personality that a guy like Cam has, right? Tebow has, or a cult following that Tebow has. Maybe to a degree. Flutie's before my time. I'm going on, firsthand knowledge of me talking to him and knowing him a little bit. Texter says, after Ayn Rand's, you can dive into War and Peace by Dostoevsky or whatever. I should know how to say that. War and Peace is another famous book, but I thought Tolstoy wrote War and Peace. I think Tolstoy wrote hold on, let's see. Tolstoy, War and Peace. Yes, I was right. War and Peace was written by Tolstoy. So there you go. Chalk one up for me there on the non-readers section. So, all right. I do want to get back into sports here before we get out of here for the day. What I will do is, I want to talk about the Red Sox. The Red Sox are better than even I expected, and I kind of thought this was a possibility. Talk about the Red Sox next, who have won 8 of 9 here on DEV.
Do you own land with a single or double wide home? Visit Fecto Homes, where they can guarantee you top dollar for your existing mobile home, regardless of the year. They offer many finance options with competitive rates and down payment assistance exclusively for mobile homes. Fecto Homes has several models for sale off the lot or customize and order your own. Make the most of your time and money. Visit them today at 350 River Street, Route 302 in Montpelier, or online at fectohomes.com.
Netflix, Amazon Prime, HBO, Showtime. How many streaming services are you paying for? If only there was a way to track and cancel subscriptions easily. Well, there is. Just download the Rocket Money app. Rocket Money organizes your subscriptions by due date and notifies you when something is coming up. From there, decide whether to keep it or cancel it with just a tap in the app. To find out more about Rocket Money, go to rocketmoney.com/save or download the Rocket Money app from the Apple app or Google Play stores. Rocket Money, the money app that works for you.
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi.
Keep counting at those stop signs, Alex. Full stop and doesn't go until she counts to 5, McSweeney. Because you are a safe driver. And like most drivers who sign up for Snapshot from Progressive, which customizes your rate for how and how much you drive, you could earn a discount for your good driving. So don't turn into an Alex rolling stop and goes whatever she wants, McSweeney. Because once an Alex full stop and doesn't go until she counts to 5, McSweeney, always an Alex full stop. Well, you know the rest. Sign up for Snapshot today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in all states or from all agents.
Hi, this is Anson Tebbets, co-host of For the Birds, heard Saturdays on WDEV. Each week, Chip Darmstadt and I discuss bird sightings, bird counts, and activity at your feeder. You also can listen anytime to podcasts on Apple, Google, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Join us Saturdays at 7:30 and 12:15 for the Birds. 28 years on WDEV AM and FM and streaming at WDEVradio.com.
As Vermonters, we know that so much depends on the weather. When you need a reliable local weather forecast, it's literally at your fingertips with the WDEV weather phone. Locally dial 244-1172 or toll free at 1-800-585-1211. Roger Hill's weather forecast is just a phone call away on the WDEV weather phone, 244-1172 or 1-800-585-1211.
Want Brady to hear your opinion on the sports stories of the day? Text in at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. The Boston Red Sox are a lot better than a lot of people thought they would be. As we talk here on Monday night, the Red Sox have won 8 of their last 9. They were just beaten on Sunday by the Phillies to stop a 8-game winning streak. Red Sox are a lot better than people expected. Now, I will say this. They are better than I expected too. But I thought they would be better than a lot of people thought. And they are exceeding even my expectations. If you go back to spring training, I said this on multiple cases. I believe the Red Sox have a better roster than people think they do. I think they have a little more depth than people think they do. But I still think they're going to finish in 4th or 5th place. I thought the AL East was that good. The AL East is proving to be that good. Tampa is historically good. Baltimore is better than we expected as well, given how little they did in the offseason. Toronto is exactly as we expected. And the Yankees are injured right now a lot, but they are good, and we know they will get better. Severino's on his way back. Aaron Judge is about to be back as well. So I thought the Red Sox would still finish 4th or 5th, and they very well might. But they are proving my initial thesis correct in that they have a better roster than people thought. I think there's 2 things at play right now for why the Red Sox are where they are and why they're playing like they're playing. One has been the health of the starting rotation. You go back to the beginning of the season, there were some guys being shuffled in and out of the rotation, right? Bayo was late getting healthy. Whitlock was late getting healthy. But once kind of that first 2.5 weeks settled, the Red Sox rotation has been largely healthy, and that's been huge. Now, Whitlock's hurt, but let me get to that in a second. The rotation being healthy has allowed the bullpen to be a lot better, right? We thought the Red Sox bullpen would be better than a year ago because they signed Chris Martin, they signed Joely Rodriguez, and they signed Kenley Jansen. Well, Rodriguez has been hurt the whole season, and Martin had been on the injured list for a while. So it's not so much that the bullpen is better because of those 3. Jansen's been great, but where the real difference in the bullpen has been is that the starters have been healthy enough to allow the guys that would have been the fill-in starters to be in the bullpen. Josh Winkowski has excelled in the bullpen. If the Red Sox were out 3 or 4 starters, like they could have been, right? We had questions about Sale. We had questions about Kluber. We had questions about Whitlock. If they were out 3 starters or so, well, then Winkowski might have had to be in the rotation. He hasn't had to be there. He's been a lot better in the bullpen. Cutter Crawford has given another arm in the bullpen. And when he's been healthy, he's been really, really good. And these guys are throwing 96, 97 miles an hour out of the pen, and they've been real assets there. So you look at this bullpen, it's been able to be greatly aided because the rotation has been healthy. And the Red Sox rotation is not great. I still don't love Kluber. Pivetta is still kind of really good start today, really average start the next day. But these guys are going deep enough into games to turn it over to what has become a very good bullpen. That is number 1, as far as I'm concerned, for why the Red Sox are playing like they are. And number 2 is Masataka Yoshida. Masataka Yoshida, to me, was always kind of the key to the offense. And he has proven to be a great key for that offense. Because if you look at the Red Sox going into the season, we thought rotation would be a little light, bullpen would be a strength, and the offense was the swing, right? If the offense was good and you ended up with 2 of 3 really good units, the Red Sox could be pretty good. If the offense was bad and you ended up with 1 of 3 units, you would be pretty bad. Sounds fairly obvious. Well, the offense has swung positively in large part because of Yoshida. We knew that Devers would be productive, right? That was a guarantee. We knew that Justin Turner would at least be a professional at bat. We knew that Alex Verdugo had potential. What we didn't know was what Yoshida would do, and Yoshida has been great outside of after the first 3 weeks, he's been great, right? As we tape this 16-game hitting streak, he's hitting home. I don't even think Yoshida swung and missed it all in the last week. He puts the ball in play. He sprays it all over the field. He drives it to the gap. He hits for power. He's been everything they could want him to be and more. And you look at what this Red Sox offense is doing. They don't have Trevor Story. They don't have Adam Duvall. They don't have a great Kike Hernandez. But they are finding a way offensively to put up 6 runs, 8 runs, 11 runs. And they're doing it most nights because the at-bats are good. They don't strike out. They get on base. And now they're cashing in their traffic. Verdugo's been excellent. Connor Wong has been excellent. When McGuire plays at catcher, he's been good. Casas is starting to come around as we talk. Three homers in the last 4 days, I believe. Homered in the Sunday loss. So you're seeing the young guys like Wong and Casas get acclimated. You're seeing your mid-veterans like Alex Verdugo take the next step. You're seeing Turner be the professional at bat he was signed to be. And you're seeing Yoshida be the guy that kind of drives everything along with Devers. That's what this team has needed. That's what they needed from him, and that's what he's provided. I love watching Yoshida hit. Power, contact, puts the ball in play. He's got a great knowledge of the strike zone. He's been everything they could want him to be, and as a result, the Red Sox are in a position here that not many people thought they would be in. Right? They're in fourth place right now. I know that. I'm going to pick up the exact standings here, but they're in fourth place, but nobody expected them to be 6 games over 500 at 21-15. And they're only 2 games out of second place. Now, I was optimistic going into the year. I wasn't this optimistic. Right? They could finish in 4th or 5th place. They could hit a 6-game losing streak and be done. But right now, what they're doing feels sustainable. If their starting pitching remains healthy and these bullpen arms can remain in the bullpen, I think what they're doing is sustainable. And I totally believe what Yoshida is doing is sustainable. And the Red Sox will open up a series with the Braves on Tuesday, and that'll be a great test because the Braves are one of the best teams in baseball as well. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV. We're brought to you by Fecto Homes. Text says, do you think if Yoshida has a big year and is happy in Boston, do you think getting Ohtani is a legitimate opportunity? I think it's more legitimate, yeah. If Yoshida, I know Buster only told us that Ohtani wasn't coming to Boston. But if they surprise some people, and if Yoshida is great and has a great experience in Boston, he's going to be the best salesperson for Boston that there is. So, yes, I think the Ohtani meter reads possible if Yoshida has a great year and the team has success. And boy, what a story that would be. All right, that's it for us here on the Brady Farkas Show. Happy to be back at it today for a full 90 minutes. Jazz with George Thomas is coming up next. I know that he hasn't had a full show in a while, so it'll be great to get that also. We were brought to you by Fecto Homes today. We'll be back at it tomorrow. The show will be on until 6:20 tomorrow, so a little bit longer than it's been, but not a full show, but still fun nonetheless. Go download the podcast, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Calling all gardeners. Hay Farms plant sale begins the first week